Yeah, so some bald wants to come at me for saying some bull. I want to see what all this is about. I'm pretty sure this is about like a Hex Juice tweet, but this, I don't even know why he has my channel pulled up, but here we go. Yeah, let's see what this bald has to say. And yeah, another guy is going to come at me. I'll just swat him down real quick. Here we go. All right, let's see. Power creep and meta ruining Star Rail, nuclear drama, Honkai Star Rail. Let's see what's going on here.
My attention that a lot of people on Twitter, on YouTube, on Twitch, especially content creators as well as you know, the players and viewers themselves, are having a lot of horrible takes about the meta and Honkai Star Rail or new player experience in general. I've been seeing.
Okay, I don't know anything about bad meta takes, but I have not really seen that many new player experience complaints personally. But we'll get into it. Let's see what he's saying. I haven't seen
this take get thrown around, and power creep, meta, you know, new player experience, all this stuff. And man, I'm gonna be honest, a lot of these players and content creators have some dog shit takes. I'm just gonna be straight up honest. A lot of them that have these takes are some of my friends, but I'm the kind of person that I'm not gonna hold back just because we're friends. I'm very blunt, and if I think you're saying something dumb, I'm just gonna call it out as dumb. Now, as an example, I'm just gonna use this clip by Tectone, because this is kind of what started the discussion amongst the community and other people speaking out about it, and giving their own takes. And EO reposted a clip of Tectone, his take about power creep. Let's just listen to what he says first, and I'll give my opinion.
But on a real note, HSR is becoming what we are. Hey, Legionz, I'm gonna give you a note. Your background music for this video is way too fucking loud. Fix that shit. It's irritating as fuck. I knew it was going to come, which is have this character or you lose.
I thought he was going to go somewhere else with that when I first heard this. I thought he was going to say it has become what every other gacha game has become. Pull this character, you're going to have a harder time, which is what he should have said.
No, it's not. And let me tell you why I shouldn't have said that. The reason why I shouldn't have said that is because for the majority of Honkai Star Rail and Genshin Impact, these are the majority of players' first gacha game they've ever played. This was the first gacha game that ever broke the normie barrier. I like to keep everything on a case-by-case basis. Me saying this becomes like every other gacha game adds no context whatsoever to people who don't already know. It's completely pointless to say because people who play gacha games already understand that. People need to understand this from the case-by-case basis.
And maybe what he meant, but it is not as bad as some games like Summoner Wars wasn't.
Summoner Wars PvP.
Or Epic 7 or
Epic 7's PvP.
With PvP, like games that have, gacha games that have PvP, if you do not have the new meta character, bro, don't even go into PvP because you will get absolutely bodied. But Star Rail is not like that. For example, I saw people saying that they were using Aventurine boss as an example, saying, new players can't even beat the story bosses. First of all, they nerfed it.
Those are retards on the internet. That is not what I'm saying at all. People who are saying they're struggling on the story, they're just quite literally, they're just wrong. Yeah, they're absolutely wrong. That has nothing to do with me, but yeah, they're absolutely wrong.
All right, and even the pre-nerf was not even that bad. And second of all, I have seen free-to-play use Serval as their DPS and beat Aventurine, and not only in story, but in MOC, the last MOC where he was the last stage. I've seen people use Serval as their DPS or Jingyuan and clear it. Did they do a zero cycle? No. Do you need to do a zero cycle? No. Absolutely not. Nope. Still got 3 stars, still got Order of the Stellar Jade, and they were still able to clear the content. Now, even if they weren't, and you're a new player, and you're not able to clear the new content that's guided more towards the newer characters that have just been released, why would they not incentivize people to pull for new characters and make new mechanics revolving around those characters to make the characters feel more fun and the gameplay and the end game feel more fun? Because if they still targeted the end game towards the standard banner units from a year ago, this game would be so boring. The only thing that keeps the MOC and endgame stuff alive is the new characters. That is literally essential to all gachas.
Just because it happens in every single game doesn't make it right. Okay? That's not how that works. Second of all, the reason why that's what makes the new MOCs fun is because that's what the new MOCs and harder content are built around. You pull the new character and you get to have fun because the new MOC is made for that character. I think it's very gimmicky. I truly do think it's very gimmicky. I understand from a business perspective why they would want to do that to incentivize players to pull more. However, that doesn't mean that I agree with every old character becomes obsolete or every old character needs double to triple artifact quality in order to keep up with the current standards of the game. I mean, let's just be real. I mean, guys, I just want you to think about the difference just for 2 seconds. I want you to think about the difference between an Acheron and a Yang Zheng. Just think about that, okay? Think about the difference between an Acheron and a fucking Yang Zheng. It's a lot, right? It's a lot. I don't want to think about that difference. Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's sad. Yang has 5 swords. She only has 1. True.
Getting new characters that power creep is what keeps these games interesting, is what keeps you pulling on these characters. Not only like, oh, this character looks cool and this character's hot, but also, yo, this character does crazy damage or has this crazy new mechanic that, like Super Break, for example, that, you know, revives the kind of the game a little bit. Because I'm not gonna lie to you, bro, like for the last 3 or 4 MOCs, I literally have autoed, since Acheron came out, I have autoed every single MOC 12 with, and I'm not even like a whale, bro. Like, do I get the copy of a character? Yes, I'll get 1 copy. I think the most I've ever spent was for Firefly, because I got shit luck, was $500 because I wanted E2. But
I want you to think about that. I want you to think the fact that you just said you're not a whale and the most I've ever spent is only $500. Think about that for 2 seconds, where people are so out of touch with how much they spend, where they say, oh, I've only spent a mere $500. That is more than most people make in a month. And you spent for a slight upgrade on a character. Yes, I do think that's a problem, Legionz. You want to know why I think that's a problem? Is because now they're going into the meta where we used to have an elemental system that we might have had to play around. And now characters just say, oh, well, I just make them weak to whatever you are. Oh, I'm Firefly. And because I'm Firefly, I just ignore that mechanic. You know, we have a goofy-ass character called Silverwolf that used to make it at least interactive. But now, the way things are going with Boot Hill just giving physical weakness, Firefly just giving fucking elemental weakness, Acheron not even needing to charge her own alt gauge. It's just, you gotta understand the rapid growth in the characters becoming so overpowered and game-breaking mechanics already being implemented. All I'm going to say is that the current game state is going to devolve. And a lot of the strategy that we once were to have to think, and I'm sure you would agree with this, the amount of skill and intelligence that was required for clears of years of yore are much less than clears now, right? Even with the higher end teams, you don't have to think about what has a weakness. You don't have to think about who's good with who. Just use the broken character and they're all fucking blow up. And I think that really started with Dan Heng and Bibit Lerne. Am I going to say that this is ruining Honkai Star Rail? No, but I do think it will eliminate the joy for a lot of people that I still think a lot of players can do with lower end units as long as they have higher investment relics, right? If you have, you know, 100 CCV or 100% crit rate and 400% crit damage, sure, you can probably clear it with a fucking Arlon. But for the majority of players, including myself, and I'm no longer in the realm of free to play. Now I buy the battle pass, right? And whatever the gem gods give me, I get. But I don't believe in a game state where a lot of content creators are saying that you are going to need the 5-star character and their light cone. And I think that's a very slippery slope. And I think the overall price of wanting to enjoy your characters, and there are even some people who argue that some of the 5-star characters are now going to require their light cone. Now, once again, that's not what I'm saying, but I can see it going down that route. And it's just a little bit sad is all I'm saying, because the game wasn't like that. Now, thankfully, I just play Honkai Star Rail for the story now, and I do enjoy the new game modes. I got 11 out of 12 stars, which I'm very happy about, which I'm sure I could have run a couple different times with a different team and gotten 12 out of 12 stars. However, I really like using the characters that I like, and I think that's because that's the casual side of me that comes out, and those are the people that I'm arguing for, the free-to-play casuals, who are going to want to use the characters they want to clear the content, and I feel like the depth of roster pool you're going to be required to having is quite quite deep with new game modes being implemented. It's no longer going to be, we'll just pull the one new character and beat everything in the game. Now you're probably going to need 2 and 2 light cones because the game modes are becoming more and more restrictive. They're less about how you play and more how you're required to play. And I would just say it's just becoming a lot more restrictive of a game that used to be a lot more free. And I don't know if you disagree with that, but I would certainly get behind that statement for sure.
I didn't go for E2 on other characters. I've gone for E1 maybe, or just one dupe. Not even one dupe, one character. And that's it.
Don't you think Wuwa will have the same issues with the 3 needed teams for the tower? I don't really see how it's important to discuss Wuthering Waves when we're talking about Honkai Star Rail, a turn-based RPG versus Wuthering Waves, due to the fact that a lot of your downsides of your gameplay can be made with a lot better play. And there's a big difference. You got to understand this. There's a big difference between a casual playing Wuthering Waves versus a hardcore player Wuthering Waves, okay? There's a much less difference between a casual player playing Honkai Star Rail and a hardcore player playing Honkai Star Rail, right? The skill ceiling, right, and the skill floor are much closer together for Honkai Star Rail versus Wuthering Waves. Does that make sense? There's a lot more room to grow and improve in Wuthering Waves versus Honkai Star Rail. And hopefully that makes sense. That's the reason why it's a problem for Honkai Star Rail, is because you can only outskill so much, right? That's the whole reason why I was going to put that on display for Wuthering Waves. That's the whole reason why I showed people the difference between a person like Mr. Pokey versus a person like Regzlen, or a person like Hexjuice versus a person like Tectone. It's a huge fucking difference because I'm way better than that fucking shitter. Now, that being said, I don't really think you'd see that big of a difference between someone like, let's say, Fob versus someone hardcore like Mr. Pokey and Honkai Star Rail. Once you have a general understanding, there's only so much min-maxing you can do for a turn-based RPG. Now, I'm not saying there's no min-maxing, but I'm saying there's a lot less that you can do for a turn-based RPG for that you can do comparatively to a open action combat game. And I think that's why I'm a lot more worried about Honkai Star Rail, because at the end of the day, you can only outskill so much, and the majority of the outskilling is waiting for a lucky crit or waiting for the boss to target someone more optimal. Because think about how many times you can just die to RNG in Honkai Star Rail. If the boss targets the character you don't want them to target 2 times in a row, you just lose. There's no outplaying that. There's no outskilling that. It's just, okay, well, go again, right? Because you can't just dodge. Damage in turn-based RPGs are guaranteed, whereas damage in games like Wuthering Waves are optional, right? Now, the thing that really holds you back in Wuthering Waves is how much damage can you output versus how much damage can I also take. So that's why it's a very difficult concept, and I really don't think comparing the 2 game states is very smart. Now, you can compare Genshin Impact and Wuthering Waves if you want, but that's not what this video is about. This video is about Star Rail, and I think we're kind of getting off on a little bit of a tangent here, which I really think that this is all going to come down to, because I'm going to just be real, Legions. I don't think that your reading comprehension skill of what Hexjuice was saying to you, I don't think you understood what she was asking, because you were answering a question that wasn't being asked. And I'm going to get into that later in the video, because I do feel that you're kind of straw manning versus questions that nobody's arguing right now. And hopefully that makes sense, and I want to demonstrate that throughout this video. However, I have not seen this full video yet.
And, you know, there are characters I could have skipped, for sure. But I just pulled them because I was a content creator. On my free-to-play account, though, I only have Acheron, and, you know, it's a Nihility team built around Acheron. I don't have Kafka on there. I'm going to try for Firefly. But even with that free-to-play account, I've been able to clear MOC 12. Did
Sure.
I 3-star it though? No.
I also don't really think anybody is talking about MOC right now. We're kind of talking about the new hunt game mode. That's the reason what this clip is in context to, is the new like boss rush. Okay, I want to go back.
Able to clear MOC 12. Did I 3-star it though? No, I did not.
Okay, well, I think that says a lot, because I feel like Memory of Chaos is very fucking simple. But yeah, I mean, even still, like, we're getting to that point where you're able to clear it, but you're not able to get everything, which is something that I've been letting people know. Like, I mean, you're kind of talking about the issue that I'm talking about here, where I bet if you did have the new characters, I sure bet you probably would have cleared it. Hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully that all makes sense.
But I was
Because what you just said is the whole thing that I'm talking about. And I'm I'm hoping you get that.
Able to clear it. As a free-to-play, even if you're not able to clear 12, what are you missing, bro?
Well, very little, but it's about a president.
60 Stellar Jade? What the fuck is 60 Stellar Jade gonna do to your
No,
account?
I agree.
Okay? Now, maybe that's not what people are talking about. Maybe they're not talking power creep in just MOC. And they're talking about maybe story. But like I said,
We're not talking about story.
people are clearing story still with the...
I think you also got to understand how we're now getting to the territory where characters are going to be power crept and they're going to be power crept hard. Okay, we're getting to the point where only so many slots can be filled, and characters like Kafka, they're going to be replaced, which is going to upset me quite a bit because I love using Kafka. She's my favorite character, but I don't think she's going to stay too relevant in the meta dot team for too much longer. I sure hope she is. I know characters like Gay Miko are coming out that are going to 1,000,000% power creep, but I'm okay with that because she's a 4-star, right? But I feel soon that 5-stars are going to start more actively replacing other 5-stars, and I feel like for a lot of people it's going to be a little bit upsetting when you're not able to use your character as efficiently, right? Because now just having a 5-star might not be enough. You might need to get the new 5-star or have an absurd relic quality, one of the two.
4-star characters you get from the beginning of the game. It's very doable. You just gotta build the characters, play the game, and actually do, the shit that's required to build your characters. Because I see other content creators say this shit too. Other content creators that don't really actively play Star Rail like that, or they have people play the game for them, the grinding game for them, and they only get on for the updates. Not Tectone in general, because yeah, he does have that, but he is also able to clear the content. So I think he shouldn't even have this take because he's a prime example of you're still able to clear the content as a free-to-play. I mean, he just spent for...
I'm no longer free-to-play. No, I got Battle Pass because I was detecting the trend, and that's why I was like, fuck it, right? Because I want to play Honkai Star Rail, but remaining free-to-play it's pretty fucking miserable, I'm not going to lie. Like, if you get unlucky, like players like MTashed or my free-to-play account where we got so fucking lucky, not everybody's going to have the same luck, and not everybody's going to have the same luxury where when I can't make it onto play, they can't grind for me. The free-to-play experience right now is getting actively worse and worse and worse. And that is why I myself broke to be Battle Pass. Yeah, hopefully that makes sense.
A little tiny bit finally for the first time in a year on, I think it was the Akron banner.
Free-to-play is great if you don't stream it. Yeah, but I think that you would agree that free-to-play during the initial launch compared to free-to-play right now is it's a lot harder. It really is a lot harder.
But regardless, he's pretty much free-to-play, and he's been able to beat all content. So he is a prime example of why his own take is kind of wrong.
And no, you just misunderstood the take. I don't know what you think I said, but you listened to a 9-second clip, ranted on it for 5 minutes. You presented reasons why I was right, and then you said I was wrong. So I'm not sure what you think I said, but I assure you what I said was not wrong, especially because you said I was free to play, which is also just not true, demonstrably. It kind of sucks. It's a shame, but it really is getting to that issue where have this character for this game mode or you lose.
Have this character for this game mode or you lose. I'm assuming he's talking about the new game mode.
Yep.
Which I cleared without using Firefly, by the way, because my Firefly was not built.
And I'm going to guess that was not on your free-to-play account.
I did not have relics for her. I used Acheron.
And I'm going to assume you're on your whale account.
I used Acheron on that. I forgot what the fucking new game mode's called. I autoed all of it. So it is very doable for his account if I was able to auto it. I am not a whale by any means. Do I log in and play the game every day? Yes. Do I max refresh? No, I do not. I think I did that for like a week or two when the game first came out, and ever since.
And does anybody have footage of him clearing this? I know he said he's not a whale, but casually drops $500. Let's see if we can find this. Let's go see his clear. Now, once again, I'm not saying it's impossible to clear, but I'm saying it's a lot harder for free-to-play casual players to do so without the newer characters. Hopefully that makes sense. I really feel like it really isn't that deep. Did he not just say he wasn't using Firefly? Nobody's complaining about this side. We're talking about the Argenti side. And then you're using 2 completely perfect teams with everything min-maxed with a fucking Black Swan, Kafka, Acheron? Who wouldn't be able to clear this with perfect team? Didn't you also just say you don't have Kafka?
Then, no, by any means. Do I log in and play the game every day? That was not built. Which I cleared without using Firefly, by the way, because my Firefly was not built. I did not have relics for her. I used Acheron. I used Acheron on that, I forgot what the fucking new game mode's called. I autoed all of it. Like, so it is very doable for his account if I was.
So let me get this right. Because you autoed it with perfect characters, you said you don't have Firefly when you in fact do have Firefly. Like, let's just keep it a buck. That's just a blatant fucking lie. So what are we even talking about? Like, you have perfect Ruan May with Harmony MC, with Firefly, with Gallagher. Like, you're running 2 perfect teams.
Firefly makes this.
Your Firefly just hit for 576,000 damage. He has a free-to-play account. That's not the clear he's talking about, because he's referring to his main account. He even said he's referring to his main account, you dumb fucks. Lamau, bro, listen, you can do it on free-to-play too. Actively lying in your video. Not a good look. Not a good look, man. Not a good look. And I would hardly describe a Firefly with 3.1 thousand HP hitting for 576,000 damage as hardly built. And why do I have a feeling if you were to go into the builds of these characters that a lot of them might have their signature light cone? I am very curious to know the light cone on your Ruan May. I am very, very, very curious about that. Do you have the signature light cone on your Ruan May? And what Eidolon level is your Acheron? I am very curious. I wonder if any of that is shown. Are these E0 units? I am very, very, very curious. Acheron is E1. Oh, so if you can do it with the best characters in the game at above E0, then everybody should be able to do it when you're playing with absolute perfect meta teams. Yeah, you're right. Why don't I just spend additional resources to build a Gallagher? Oh yeah, because I can't. Because you have to build so many fucking characters in this game. I'm trying to just settle with 3 sustains, but now maybe I even need a fucking 4th. And that's the whole reason that I'm talking about, is now you need so much account flexibility, it is going to become more difficult to get into this game. Would like to put this in 4K. Legionz just straight up fucking lied. For fun. Lied for fun. So let's just keep it a buck. Lied not once but twice. Said no Kafka, there was a Kafka. Said a barely built Firefly, there was a Firefly. Legion, why the fuck did you make this video? Why are you making me do this to you, bro? My free-to-play account doesn't have a Kafka? Yeah, but that's not the clear you were talking about. So what's about? Oh yeah, dude, I don't have every character in the game on my other one. Like what? I'll do it next stream and send the clip. Yeah, but the thing is, you still lied though. You still lied. You did still lie. So, that being said, get a fire extinguisher because some people's pants are on fire. Let's continue.
Was able to auto it.
But yeah, I would love to see you. I would love to see you clear it with max stars on your free-to-play account. Send a clip. And I want to see you do it in one clear, right? Because I'm letting you know, for a free-to-play casual perspective, people don't want to do this shit 18 fucking times. I'm sure, and yeah, I want to see you auto this shit on your free-to-play account because free-to-play casuals don't want to do that, okay? Now, I'm also in agreement with you where I think free-to-play players also shouldn't expect to clear everything unless they're playing every single fucking day. That's totally fine. That's absolutely totally fine.
I am not a whale by any means.
You are a whale. You are in fact a whale. You are coping. You are 1,000,000% a whale.
Do I log in and play the game every day? Yes. Do I max refresh? No, I do not. I think I did.
I bet you have max refreshed before.
Did that for like a week or 2 when the game first came out, and
there it is.
Ever since then, I haven't done. I did do it day 1 and day 2 of Firefly coming out.
There it is.
Because I had such shit luck with relics that was like, bro, I want to use her. And I tried farming more, and spoiler alert, I wasted all that, you know, jade refreshing, and I didn't get shit. So literally not a single good piece, not even one that was worth it.
You said Genshin shit because it's too easy now. Now you want HSR to be easy. Shit doesn't make sense. No. Okay. So let me explain what I'm saying here. Let me explain to you the difference in what I was saying. Okay. So for Genshin Impact, there's a lot more ways to play to where you can make up the difference in your ability and your account. It is a open, active combat game. There's only so much you can do in Honkai Star Rail to raise the difference in your ability and also not be a victim of RNG and infinite repeats until you do get lucky, right? So there, once again, same thing with Wuthering Waves. When there's less of an opportunity to make the difference between a good player and a bad player, be able to make up for their difference in ability, that's when the game state becomes very frustrating because now you're just a slave to RNG. AKA skill ceiling is low, yeah.
The damn, and then even salvaging that shit and trying to craft one still didn't get anything worth the damn. So trust me, it's not just free to play that are dealing with that. You know, people that spend money also are dealing with that. And I was able to, I literally have it, I did it on my stream. I was literally editing a video while I had that shit autoing on the screen and talking to chat. Like, so is it revolved around new characters? Yes, but that's like how they incentivize people to pull on these new characters. And it makes the game more fun, but it's...
No, you're just wrong. And let me explain to you why you're wrong. It's okay to make the new character good. It's not okay to say, hey, the new Memory of Chaos and the new boss mode is going to have a very specific buff that only this new character can utilize effectively. Why don't we just make them good and have the buff be different and have it much more universal than just say, oh, here's the Firefly buff? Because it makes no fucking sense. You know it as well. And when did that happen? Okay, let's just pull it up. You are lying. Okay? How? Hold up. You are lying. How? Look at how good the 4 stars perform. Okay, now let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question here. Okay? I'm gonna break it down for you here. How does this website get their information? It's user submitted, right? Now let me ask you a question. Do you think a free-to-play casual player is going to go to this website and submit their information? Or do you think players who are a little bit more serious would do this shit? Yes, from 1 million players. So I want you to read this right here. Help us make the analytics better. You just need to share your UID to help us. It's so simple. Okay? So first of all, this isn't from 1 million players. This is from 6,400 or 6,541 are self-reported players. 8,103 are from random UIDs that we scanned. Okay, so it's not 1 million, it's 14,000. And a heavy part of this sample size that you can see right here are people who actively wanted to showcase what it is that they are using. Okay, and I want to ask you a question. Do you think those people are free to play and casual? No, that's why this take is referring to only free to play casual players. They scanned 1 million, but only 14K cleared. I don't know about all that. I don't know about all that. Okay? But let's just make that very clear. You are arguing shit that no one is talking about. And that, it said it on the screen, Lamau. We scanned 1 million accounts in EU, NA, and Asia regions. Out of those, 8,103 cleared Apocalyptic Shadow. 5,800 cleared Apocalyptic Shadow 4. Less than 1% of players cleared this shit on Apocalyptic Shadow 4. This also applies to MOC. So out of curiosity, after this statistic, does anybody still think that I'm wrong? Don't we think it's a little bit difficult? Don't we think it's a little bit fucking difficult? Because this proof that you just sent me to show me that I'm wrong just proved me right. So, thank you for the proof for proving me right. Let's keep going.
Still doable with the other characters. You just have to build, you know, a little bit differently and strategize around team building your characters to do that.
Or you don't get max rewards.
You don't need max rewards as a free to play.
Okay. I've already said that.
Is this, like, am I crazy? Like, being a free-to-play, you should not expect to be able to get all 780, whatever it is, Stellar Jade.
I don't know who you're arguing with. Once again, this is a matter of comprehension skills, right? We're not arguing this, right? So it's all good. Okay?
If you missed out on the last stage, whoop the fucking do, you missed out on 60 Jade. That's like complaining in a PvP gacha that, oh, I'm not top 100, I'm not top 10, so I'm not gonna be able to get the max fucking gems.
Legionz, I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of embarrassing how much you're misunderstanding this point. And I really don't want to bury you here. But you asked me to react to this. But like these points that you're arguing, like, bro, we agree on this. I don't think free-to-play players need all rewards. I think that's all good, right? But once again, like I even told you, I wrote this out, and you made this video after I already pointed this out, right? You need to understand this. For the post that you're referring to, I even put, make sure to consider for this issue I'm referring to the largest demographic, which is free-to-play low-spending casuals, right? No one cares if you can beat everything with Giga Sweat relics plus every signature light cone. So the problem is that you're pulling up my video pretending that I'm arguing something that didn't happen. And I understand that you might have done that for a clickbait purpose. But in reality, this things that you're arguing, I don't know why you have me pulled up because I'm not saying the things that you think that I'm saying. So I think a better thing would have done is to actually pull up someone who is saying those things, because you have a guy who's agreeing with you and you're saying this guy's wrong.
From being top 10 because I'm top 100,000. Like, what do you mean, bro? Like,
Yeah.
This is how they fund their game. This is how, and I know he knows this. So I'm
Exactly, right?
just like, bro played Summoner Wars. Like, I'm confused why he has this shit take.
Because I didn't have the take in Legion. You're just dumb. That's what happened here, is that you just realized you're dumb and you don't know what the video you're watching is saying. I'm just keeping a buck, bro. Like, you just don't know what the video's saying. Let's continue, because this happened again for Hex Juice. And I wanted to talk about this too, because I don't think you understood what she was saying either. Right? So let's go into it. Let's go into this again. Okay, because this is wild. Okay? Now listen. Hey, you said you would be blunt, right? You said you'd be blunt, so I'm gonna be blunt with you. I'm gonna be real, man. This was a L fucking take. This shit is like, nobody on the screen is saying what you think is that they're saying. Let's keep going here. All right, let's see the problem with Hex Juice here. Guys, am I crazy here? How do you guys feel so far, guys? How do you guys feel? Bro, if you say Hex take was good, I'm gonna just not even care. All right, let's see what Hex said. Let's see what Hex said. Okay, for this, I have not looked into this. I saw her and Lee just going back and forth, and I'm like, oh god, the kids are fighting. All right, let's keep going here. Here we go. I think that Star Rail is going to suffer because it doesn't appeal well to new players. How do you get new players into a turn-based game with an extreme emphasis on meta play when there are more gameplay-focused games releasing like Wuwa, Zenless Zone Zero, and Azure Premilia? I think this game has a much more severe issue with veteran players rather than new players, due to the fact that if you're a new player and you just get the new unit, it's most likely going to be the best unit. I actually think it heavily incentivizes new players to get into it by just pulling the new best character. How do you get new players into turn-based gameplay with an extreme emphasis on meta play when there are more gameplay-focused games releasing like Wuwa, Zenless Zone Zero, and Azure Premilia? Because some people just prefer turn-based RPGs. Yeah, and I think saying, well, these games have better gameplay is a little bit of a bad take, considering that there are people who just like turn-based games. I also don't think there's an extreme emphasis on meta play. I think there's an extreme emphasis on story for this game. Yeah, I don't agree with this either.
thing that I essentially also wanted to bring up, Hexjuice also
I also think that turn-based games generally play the best on mobile, which is great for casual players.
kind of like regurgitated what Tectone also said. It's pretty much the same thing, maybe a little bit different.
Let me see.
Regurgitated what Tectone also essentially what you got to do in a gacha game. Now, one more thing that I essentially also wanted to bring up, Hexjuice also kind of like regurgitated what Tectone also said. It's pretty much the same thing.
No, that's not what I said. This is not what I said at all. Let's rewatch what I said. I didn't say that. HSR is becoming what we all knew it was going to become, which, right? Once again, so this whole thing that Legion didn't understand, which is saying we knew it would become this, is have this character or you lose, right? Yep. And that's what every other gacha game becomes. It kind of sucks. It's a shame, but it really is getting to that issue where have this character for this game mode or you lose. And lose can also be talked about being at a severe disadvantage with buffs that are like, oh, for this nihility for some reason, if you use a bunch of nihility, then a bomb's going to explode on their head. But if you don't use nihility, then no bomb will explode on their head, or at least not as quick. And for some reason now we're going to make more break characters do break damage because the new break character released. Or you don't get max rewards. Yep. Right? It's pretty irritating. Happens if you release 2 characters every patch. Is what it is. If you disagree, I would love to know why. Now, what I just said there was not what Hex said at all. I don't know how you've come to that conclusion. That is not what I said whatsoever. What I said is the game's game state is becoming a lot more heavily favored towards new units, and it could spell disaster for the previously existing game state, as we all knew it would become. This is not what I said at all. And I would love to know if any of you guys, chat, do you think that's what I said? What's crazy is what I just said is the extreme exact opposite of what she just said. Let's continue here.
Maybe a little bit different because it's more targeted towards the newer players. I'm only using this as an example because it's in front of me and, you know, I don't have to go looking for it. But I've also seen so many people, like, hell, look at this comment section, my comment section, YouTube videos, Twitch streams, chats, like, people are all pretty, there are people saying exactly what she's saying and exactly what Tectone's saying, but
not what I'm saying.
I explained already so many times. I feel like it's such a shit take, and I absolutely love the both of them, right? But I'm not going to hold back just because, you know, I'm friends with them. If I disagree, I'm just going to disagree. But what Hexjuice said, and a lot of people kind of like also, you know, agreed with her in the comments. I think that Honkai Star Rail is going to suffer because it doesn't appeal well to new players. I think that's absolutely not true.
I also agree. I think the new player experience can be good for a heavy emphasis on the story content, and usually Honkai Star Rail, because Powercreep is good for new players. It is, but it's very frustrating for veteran players.
Especially if you're starting as a new player right now, you're getting all this free shit. You have all this free content to do to farm Jade. All the events are permanent. You can go back and do the events. You get a bunch of free 4-stars from those events. So many free 4-stars, free 4-star light cones, right? You get your selector from the—
Holy fuck, I'm talking about getting people into HSR, installing HSR. Okay. I'm asking about market appeal, not game state. So what is your exact question? My point is about how to get new players into HSR. It's fucking unrelated. Okay, then I think you did a bad job of presenting this tweet, because what you're saying right here in this context, and this is a tweet, this isn't a clip on a video, this is what you tweeted, which is, I think that Honkai Star Rail is going to suffer because it doesn't appeal well to new players. And then you say, how do you get new players into a turn-based game with an extreme emphasis on meta play when there are more gameplay-focused games releasing like Wu-Wah, ZZZ, and Azure Pamelia? And this is your own tweet. This isn't an out-of-context tweet. That doesn't exist, right? We're just answering what you've put here. So what do you think that we're misunderstanding here? Yes, and my question is very clear when you read it like that. Please read my reply. Okay, sure. How do you get new players into this turn-based game with an extreme emphasis on meta play? Hex, you would understand that this is just wrong, right? I just want to make sure that like this just doesn't exist. All right, when there are more gameplay-focused games like Wu-Wah, ZZZ, Azure Pamelia, what part is wrong? The Honkai Star Rail having an extreme emphasis. You said an extreme emphasis on meta play. I think this is wrong. I feel like the majority of game modes are just like, you just kind of just play it and you win. There's a couple of game modes that have, what you would consider an extreme emphasis, but I would argue that Honkai Star Rail is much more of a story-based game. Yeah, let's keep going here. Muting this thread because it's giving me scarlet brain rot. Thank you to all those I actually gave insight to the question I asked. What I learned, HoYo exceeds at getting new players via word of mouth by stellar marketing, for sure. The story will appeal to some, and the unobtrusive nature of a mobile turn-based game will appeal to others. Yeah, of course. Do I think this is necessarily enough to keep the game's current level of success long-term? Maybe because it's HoYo. Yeah, and they're very good at keeping people around their games. I still think it's less appealing to gamers outside of gacha mobile games. Why does that matter? Why would it matter if a gamer outside of the gacha mobile game scene would want to play it or not? Because like they're not, that's what the game is, right? Like I wouldn't care if a guy who doesn't like burgers doesn't come to my burger restaurant. Right, I feel like people make burger restaurants to eat burgers. And other gachas that come out appeal better to gamers in general, might take up more time on market share. I think that if people play Pokemon, they'll have more appeal to play Honkai Star Rail. I feel like if people play Devil May Cry and Dark Souls, it might have more appeal to play Wuthering Waves. I don't really think one necessarily does a better job than the other one. For the rest, as always, Twitter's the only place where articulated sentence will still get misinterpreted. Okay, the game is fine. You're basically saying, why is Star Rail turn-based enough, like insert game other genre? I didn't say that at all. Well, you did say that. How do you get new players into a turn-based game with an extreme emphasis on meta play when there are more gameplay-focused games releasing like Wuwa, ZZZ, and Azure Familia? A question that shockingly few people have bothered to even attempt to interact with. Well, I hope I've attempted to interact with all of them. But yeah. I feel like people who like turn-based games will want to play a turn-based game. You compare a turn-based game to action RPGs. Because, and I know that reading and comprehending is very, very hard, this is a post about overall market appeal. HSR competes in the market with action RPGs. I think that what you should have said was, I would like to talk about marketing appeal and then go into marketing appeal, right? I don't think that you understand that this doesn't read like that. You literally wrote a tweet in a way that seemed like there's a lot of implication. You're saying that our reading comprehension skills is the problem. No, if you weren't making those implications, then you're right. Then your writing is the problem. I decided to make up a random unrelated interpretation of clearly written statement. Got mad about it. I'm going to blame the person who posed it with the excuse that my pretended interpretation was their fault due to the implication that there wasn't there in the first place. I am right because I have a big ego and everyone else is wrong. What do you mean it doesn't appeal to new players? Any team can clear the story and even event content, unless you're talking about MOC, PF, and EDC. They can able to feel for content, but you can get close. Put 60 more Jenny for 2 weeks into your account anyways. True. Why is it so incredibly difficult for 8-star players to not talk about meta? I mentioned meta as a part of why is it more niche than other gachas. The question is how to appeal to new players and compete with less niche styles in game long term. Well, I don't think they're trying to, right? Because the whole thing with Honkai Star Rail, and you got to understand this, is that HoYoverse isn't attempting to have mass appeal on one of their games. They're attempting to attack certain niches. That's why they created the HoYo game launcher. So that way they can target people in that niche and attack them very aggressively to make a whole universe of games rather than focus on making one game very good. They're attempting to make a whole library of games to play. I'm going to keep it a buck, guys. I think this whole argument's just very fucking stupid. And yeah, to be honest, I'm good.